Open grazing law was promulgated, I think, on the 1st of November 2017. Like 12 days later, in one of the security reports from Nasarawa State, it indicated that we had noticed panic migration of herdsmen with their cattle, with their families, in droves and in their thousands into Nasarawa State. There was a letter that was written. I saw the letter, I read it. It was titled Update on Security Situation and so on. One was sent to the federal government to call attention to the fact that, look, you have this massive panic migration and so on and so forth. So officially and formally, they're well-established channels. Miscommunication, yes, I do agree with you.
Informally, what about informally? Because we also know that many times, yes, there's formal communication, but an informal relationship between the governors also helps. It would seem that relations have been strained. Perception, I mean, I'm just saying it would seem,
you're right.
you know, that between the governors of Nasarawa and Benue since the promulgation of the anti-open grazing law. Is that right?
Well, you know, Benue State, you know, is a federating unit of this country, Nigeria. They have the right to promulgate whatever law that best suits them. So it's really not the concern of Nasarawa State about, we don't even have any, you know, feeling about the anti-grazing law. That really is a preserve of Benue State. You know, but like you were saying, at an informal level, and why His Excellency Governor Morrison Makura was taken aback, was that while we quickly set up, you know, IDP camps, the first 3 days we had about 5,000. Right now, we have 11 IDP camps, you know, and that's providing shelter, harboring and refuge and so on to over 25,000 IDPs. This 11...
From Benue?
From most of them are from Benue State.
Maete Allah Cattle Breeders Association has estimated that about 10 million cows have moved from Benue State into Nasarawa State since the promulgation of the anti-grazing bill. Now, I just want to ask you, if that's the case, and you have these thousands of herdsmen that have moved across the border, what is your relation, the relationship of the Nasarawa State government and Maete Allah? Because we know that Benue State government has made their stance very clear on this association, that essentially they're criminal elements. What's your stance, and how do you handle that relationship moving forward? You know,
well, Nasarawa State, you know, whatever we do is anchored on inclusivity. As a state, we welcome everyone. Like I said to you earlier on, the Tiv are part and parcel of Nasarawa State. The Agatu are part and parcel of Nasarawa State. So too the Fulani. You know, when you tribalize criminality and say, for instance, there's a particular tribe, and this particular tribe may perpetrate... crime is crime. The rule of law must prevail and subsist, and that is the stance of Nasarawa State. But then perhaps the approach of inclusivity, where we give voice and allow every person, we respect diversity, we allow every person to come and live peacefully in Nasarawa State, may open the doors for people to come into Nasarawa State because they think they would have a sense of nationhood, some sort of sense of belonging there with us in Nasarawa State. So if you're asking, for instance, that we as Nasarawa State government see the Maete Allah group as some criminal association, Nasarawa State government has... We don't. I presume this Maete Allah is a registered group in Nigeria. In Nasarawa State, the Maete Allah has not been taken to any court of competent jurisdiction to show.
Bear in mind that they have been factionalized. I mean, there's the Maete Allah Makban mainstream faction, which a lot of people are aware of, and then there's also the Kauta Hori, which the governor of Benue State consistently complains about. Just wondering, if people have migrated and you know, been camped in displaced persons camp, is the governor of Benue State aware, first and foremost, that people have been displaced from his state, or they feel that they need to go, because they keep saying that this law is not supposed to chase anybody out of the state?
Well, the thing is, I know, for instance, that if I have a neighbor, you know, and then, of course, usually what happens, the consequence or aftermath of anything where you find people migrating or there's actually a crisis that breaks is that there's a likelihood you may have people who are fleeing that particular area of crisis. And this is exactly what happened. I think the onus lies on the government of Benue State to investigate and find out. I can tell you, like one of the IDPs in Awe, the second day we had over 500 people from Guma local government area in that particular IDP. You know, before the IDP camp.
Or are they farmers?
No. Essentially,
are you able to tell?
These ones were, in that particular camp, the 500 people from Goma were Tiv people from Benue State that had fled the crisis that was happening in their state.
What about the cattle? I mean, we understand that cattle were leaving in droves from Benue. What is the governor of Nasarawa saying that, crisis might come up as a result of resources which might become scarce for both human beings and cattle?
I know that cattle rearing has been going on in this country for well over 300 years. And I know there's also population implosion, and, people are saying there's no space for cattle. There's more space for houses and more space for the babies that we're bringing to the world. That's okay. Right now, we don't face that particular danger of saying that there is no space for cattle to graze. It doesn't mean that, the evolving situation and scenario in the state would not allow the government to contemplate how to make sure, because I think that at various levels, the question of herding in the country is multidimensional. I hear the federal government is doing something like, grazing colonies and so on and so forth. So everybody would have to look at it. For me, let's give every tribe or every person, even if you're a pastoralist, a sense of national belonging. Because if we do that and we have that basis of, inclusivity, then essentially what would happen is dialogue. But the thing that actually got to Nasarawa State, because I think that when you make an official pronouncement, like the one the Benue State governor made, one would wonder, despite, like the press secretary just said, he has apologized on a personal level to the governor. Has an apology
been accepted?
No, of course, naturally they're friends, and I'm sure it's accepted. Any apology is fine. We'd like to work with Nasarawa, with Benue State. Oh. But even the people of Nasarawa State, the traditional institution, the people themselves, even the people in Tunga, the integrity of the people has been called to question.
Well, it's a fine place to live it. I sincerely hope that the governor of Benue State is also listening to the other consequences of, his statement, and maybe we'll do something to address it. But we have to thank you most kindly for coming on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you for
Yakubu Lamai is Senior Special Assistant Public Affairs and Media Strategy to the governor of Nasarawa State. Sunrise Daily continues in a bit. Please stay with us.